Hello, this is going to be my first video to explain a bit more about the HCG diet. Basically, I'm going to just make it as simple and as quick as possible, but I'm going to link some websites that are going to give you a ton more information. You don't necessarily need to read every single word, but I do recommend educate yourself as much as possible. The HCG diet was something that a doctor back in the 60s, I do believe, and if I get any information incorrect, please forgive me. It's been a year since I've done this research. I believe it was, he was doing the research back in the 60s. What he was trying to determine was, why do women, when they get pregnant, not die of starvation when they're puking for 3 months? Okay, he determined that it was the HCG hormone. Both men and women have this hormone in their body already, but the only time the hormone is ever actually produced by the body and is doing anything is during pregnancy. The reason you don't ever hear about it in men, but it's already in men. Well, what he was trying to determine was if the HCG was helping the body to feed itself when there's not a whole lot of calories and nourishment in that way actually staying inside the body, because the mom was throwing up for 3 months in her first trimester of pregnancy. And so he did some research on it, and we now have the HCG diet today. In fact, it's been around for quite some time, but it's only now really becoming popular with just mainstream people and not, whatever. But anyway, the way that it's supposed to work, okay, with the HCG in your body, and it's what you can buy on the counters and stuff, there's no actual hormone in it. But so I don't know how all that works, but anyway, what a diet consisting of HCG supplements plus a very strict low-calorie diet. In fact, I believe it's called VLCD, very low calorie diet, very low, yes, VLCD, which is a 500 calorie a day diet. And don't freak out until I get to explaining about it. But the HCG on a 500 calorie a day diet for a certain amount of time will not only help your body to start feeding off of the stored fat, which is why you lose the weight and everything shrinks down, but it will also retrain your brain, which might be kind of messed up from from being overweight and abusing it in that way. And so it retrains the brain so that the brain deals with the food differently, and it helps you keep the weight off. Okay, now another important thing to remember, there are 3 kinds of fat in the body. There is the immediate fat that you have just, I guess, consumed, you've not had in there very long. There is the good fat, which surrounds the organs, and it's the good fat. You don't want to lose that fat. The first fat is the fat that we just immediately are using. The second fat's the good fat around your organs. And the third fat is the stored fat. That ugly, icky fat that helps your jeans to be way too tight to bend over. Okay, that's the fat you want to get rid of. But when you go on a diet, that's the fat your body does not get rid of. When you just try to decrease the calories and you're not, doing the entire regimen of decreasing your calories, watching what you eat and working out, instead of your body going to the stored fat, it starts thinking, oh, I'm going to starve. And it won't go to that fat at all. It keeps it. And instead, it uses that immediate fat, which is fine, but then it starts attacking the good fat that surrounds your organs. You don't want to lose that fat. So that's the reason HCG is so different. The way, in theory, it tells your body to go to the stored fat, use the stored fat to live off of, and then, yeah, that's why you're shrinking. Okay, that's how basically, in a very short, quick way, the HCG diet works. Now, there are many, many items you cannot eat while on the diet. There are a few that you can. Some you'll like, some you won't. You don't have to eat the ones you don't. But it's a very strict diet plan as far as what you're allowed to eat. Because 500 calories, it doesn't take long to add up to that. Now, how can you live off of 500 calories? Because normally that would mean you're starving and you would die. Well, since the body is feeding itself off the stored fat, you're not starving. The body is still eating. Okay, the body is still nourishing itself. Not really eating, but nourishing itself. You're the one that's not eating as much. And so it's tricking the mind or reprogramming our mind so that we don't think we're starving, because you're not. But when you see that cookie there, and that cookie is there on the plate and not here in your belly, you think you're starving, but you're not. Okay, so that's how the 500 calorie diet goes without you starving to death. That's also why the diet is only for a certain amount of time. You can only take it, I know my numbers are going to be messed up, and depending upon which website you're reading, you get slightly different days, but anywhere from at least 21 days, you need to do the diet at least 21 days. That's what resets your brain. But 21, I've even seen websites that said 40. I think I went 31 to 35 days, something like that. 21 to, let's say, 35 days. I'll just round it up. I'll round it. You go on this diet, okay, and then you've got some maintenance before you can ever go back on it. But that's how your body doesn't starve to death. If a person were to normally eat a 500 calorie diet for 21 days, they're going to be very sick. They're going to be starving to death. So that's where the drops come in quite handy. On another video, I'll let you know some of the side effects, exactly how it affected me, because there are some. And some people are more affected than others. I'll also let you know a bit more about how the different phases work. I wanted to just let you know phentermine, what the diet is, how it works. You can buy phentermine over the counter anywhere, really, and anywhere that sells health food products. I actually bought mine at Walmart, and I do believe the bottle cost me 19 something, so about 20 bucks. I think it lasted me at least 2 weeks, so maybe 2 to 3, so you're probably going to be spending 20 to 40 at least on the HCG. You could go to a health food store and spend a little more if you just love spending money on this stuff. But you can get it as cheap as 20. Actually, you can get it as cheap as like 15. But I can only endorse the product I've used. So, and that cost me 20. You can find others. You can try it out if you want. I didn't want as cheap as 15 or expensive as 30. So I went with the 20. And it worked fine. I'll tell you more about what I used and everything in another video. I know YouTube allows longer videos now, but I don't want to go over 10 myself. Let me think what else I could put on this one. Just really quick, I'll go into detail later on another video. There's 3 phases to the phentermine diet. The first phase is, I can't remember what it's called. But you basically are pigging out. And there's a name for it. I just blanked it though. There's that first phase. Actually, it depends on what website you look at too. Some look at it as 4 phases, some as 3. The ones that look at it 4, they claim that first one, the pigging out one, as phase 1. Phase 2 then would be the very low calorie diet. Phase 3 would be maintenance. And maybe there isn't a phase 4. Oh, I should have done my research before I made this video. I am sorry. Let's just say 3 phases, okay? Yeah, there's going to be the first one, pigging out, and I'll go into detail more on another video on that. There is the very low calorie diet. That's the one that you're going to do for like 21 to 35 days. And then there's maintenance, and I think maintenance is 3 weeks. But before I make my next video, I'm going to find those things out for a fact. So, again, I just want to make each video only 10 minutes long, so you only got 10 minutes. You can watch one really quick and watch another one later. And so this is just an explanation of the HCG diet, how it works, why it works, and I guess basically that's it. How and why it works. And it does. I don't care what negativity you hear about it. Some of the side effects are negative, but I would say most of the people that have not, and the side effects are from the lack of calories. That's it. But most of the people that will tell you it didn't work for them, they didn't follow the diet, or they didn't even look up how the whole plan works. If you don't look it up and all you're doing is taking the drops, you're just taking the drops. You're still consuming way too much fat, because that's part of the restrictions. There's no fat, no starch, none of those things. So that's how it's all working. I guess really quickly too, the HCG feeds off the stored fat, but if you are consuming fat, the HCG, okay, do you want it to start eating on the stored fat or start eating the fat that you just consumed? Okay, you don't want to confuse it. You want it to eat off that stored fat. So that's why it's such a restricted diet. There is no fat in your diet, and there's no starches either, which are just basically sugars. Oh, also no sugar. So that's why you'll feel like you're being deprived, because if you are overweight, you probably live off of those things. But basically, if you meet somebody and they say, oh, HCG diet, it doesn't work at all, they didn't read the plan. They didn't go over a special diet. They didn't change anything. And so, no, that isn't going to work. But anyway, I'm now past 10 minutes, so I'm going to leave it at this. And my next video, I'll be talking more about the actual diet. And I'll make sure I have my dates and everything finalized. Okay, thanks.